Welcome back. Last time I talked about the basics of putting animations into Unity, and I presented a script that lets you play any animation. In that video, I talked about the fact I wanted to do a little upgrade on it, maybe make some things a little bit more automated, a little easier to use. I've done that now. Let's take a look. I'm going to start off from scratch again. If you've seen the previous video, I went through this in some detail. Let me go through it again super fast. Skip forward if you don't want to see this part. Okay, the idea is your animator gives you some FBX files. These are just your basic FBX files. We have one for idle, one for run, and one for walk. The first thing you want to do is set the scale to something that you like. I've chosen 10 for these. So set them to a scale. One of these FBX files will be not only an animation, it will bring in the mesh and it will bring in the rig. So typically we'll use the idle for that, and let me do that here. So we'll bring in the rig by choosing create from this model. Okay, now all of them will bring in animation, including that one, probably. So let's look at the animation tab. You want to give it some kind of unique name, and in this case the artist already did create it, idle_v01. The last thing you want to look out for is this a looping animation or not? So check the loop if it is. So here's my run animation and here's my walk animation. So I've already set those up. Just takes a few clicks to set those up. Now that you've done that, you take the one that you chose for your base, the one that you gave a rig create, and you drag it into your scene. And so there it is. That's that. And if you look, because I put the rig create on there, the animator will automatically get applied. Okay, you will need an animator on your character, but that's automatic if you click that button. So the next thing I want to show is, let's show the simple method next. So I need an animation controller. An animation controller, I don't have one, must have one. So let's create an animation controller. Animator controller, my bad. Let's call it executioner simple. This is going to be my simple controller. Just double click, open that. For the simple version, all you got to do is drop all the animations onto your palette here. That's it. Just drop them onto your canvas, anywhere, any order. We're not going to set up transitions at all because this is the simple method. Okay, and let's put that animation controller that we just created on our character. One other thing we're going to need on our character is the simple animation script. So let's put that on our character. And let's hit go. Now, what does the simple animation script do? First thing it does is it scans through your animation controller and lists all the animations that it finds there. So this one has these 3 animations, and you can see it's currently playing idle. And in fact, let's side by side that. Boop. Make that okay. So it's currently playing idle. Idle doesn't do anything, but that's okay. So there's 3 animations. These 3 animations turned into buttons. What I showed before was the way the script works is you can put any animation into this anim name tab. So for example, I'll do walk 01, and now the animation automatically plays the walk 01 animation. Let's see the run 01. Okay, so pretty easy to use, but now the new addition is these buttons that allow me to change it without typing it. And you will notice the anim name over here is updating automatically to match those. So a much easier way to access your various animations. This script also allows you to turn around using the cursor keys or the WASD keys or the arrow keys. and that allows you to look at the character from different directions and look at the different animations. Okay, so that's that script. And hopefully you agree that's pretty easy to use. The more advanced one will allow you to play the animations in sequence and transition if you want to see how that works. And that one, let's see how we would set that up. Let's close this tab. We would need a different animation controller. Let's call this Executioner. And once again, let's start by just putting our things on here. But this time we're going to set up transitions between the animations. So we're going to go from idle, I want to transition to walk. From walk, I want to go to run. From run, I want to go back to walk. From walk, I want to go back to idle. Okay, we need some parameters. Go to the parameters tab. We need the parameter, a bool for is walking. Camel case, capital letters matter. Okay, bool is running. And those are two bools that we'll use to decide what we want to do. If we are walking, we want to go from idle to walk. So I select idle to walk, and I'll say condition if is walking true. I want to do that. Now, how about this one? To go from walk to run, we would do that if is running is true. And then over here, well, we would go from run back to walk if is running is false. And we'll go from walk back to idle if is walking is false. Okay, one more thing. You notice this has exit time check on all these things. That's like advanced stuff. We don't want that. We don't want those for any of these. So let's turn these off. And that will let it just transition out at any time. Let's put that, wait a minute. Okay, let's show you where that goes. Let's put it as our animator controller for our executioner, and let's remove simple animation and instead add test animation. And let's see, how did we do? Now, when I press the arrow keys, not only will he change direction, but he will transition idle if I'm letting go into the walk cycle when I'm pressing, like a character in a game normally would. And then to see that run animation, we hit the shift key, shift to do the run. And now we can see transitioning from one animation to another and how that looks. And we can start to explore that aspect of the interface. The test animation script has one other feature that it supports, which is jumping, which you do with the space bar. You'd have to hook that up too, but this character doesn't have a jump animation to play. All right, so that's that. And now let's take a look at how the script works, so my dev peeps out there can see a tip or two about how did I set this up. Let's go back to the simple. Go back to the simple, and I want the simple controller. I'll save my scene. Let's take a look at that simple script. All right, we see that we still have a public anim name string that's on there, and that still works like I showed before. All we're going to do here is if the anim name has changed, it's not the same as what you had before, then attempt to play that animation. And remember what you did so that we don't restart over and over. So that's the update loop. We're just constantly monitoring if somebody changed the anim name. If they have, play that animation. What I've added now is the buttons. Okay, so the first thing I did here was get all of the animations that are on the animator. And that's very easy to do right there. And I put a little error check. If you don't have an animator, just bail. Now, in order to in order to put the buttons on the UI, we do need a canvas and an event system to support that canvas. I thought about maybe automating that as well, but it's only so much time in the day. So I just put an error. If you don't have a canvas, we can't do the buttons for you. The string should still work. The typing in the name should still work if you forgot to create a canvas, and it will tell you you forgot to create a canvas. But I'm not going to create that for you. Button prototype. We have a public game object. This is going to be a prefab. So you're supposed to fill in a prefab here. But I thought, I can automate that. I automated it by putting it into the resources folder and calling it animation button. So you don't have to do that automatically. It will load that out of the resources for you. That's a convenient little thing that helps people with these tedious setup pieces. All right, so then we have a for loop where we go through all the clips. Those are the animation clips on your animator. And for every one of them, we instantiate a copy of the button prefab, fill in its name, and then put the name on the text for the thing. And then I just put the position and just advance the position upwards by 32 units for each one. And that actually, Y is reversed. So a negative on the Unity UI canvas, Y goes backwards. So if I want to go down, that's a negative Y. So I just create the buttons and then grab hold of the button and set up the on click. So the on click, I added a delegate to a local function here that I've created called onAnim button. So if we go to what that does, all that does is set manim name to name. So whatever you pass in, whatever string you pass in, we're going to put that directly into that public string that you could type directly. And I like this method because it's very open, very abstract, and I'm leveraging what I already had. Instead of trying to create like a parallel system where the two systems are going to end up fighting, or even deleting the old system and only allowing the new system, I'm just leveraging this system that already existed. So you can still type any name you want right there in the thing, or you push the button and it's essentially typing it for you. And so you can have your cake and eat it too. Any way you want to do this, you can totally do it. And this is the steering code, pretty straightforward. That's all there is to this. What might I say next? I might point out that if this were an actual character in an actual game, I would not make these things public. I would not make this a public thing and expect you to be able to play an animation on your character by some outside script. I would want to protect that. This is an animation test utility, and because of that, there's no reason to protect it or to restrict what animations can be played under what circumstances. So this is the latest version of the animation tester script. Scott, you had asked me to make it support other things, and maybe there's some way to do it generically. So here you go. This is my best attempt at generic support for any animation you want. If there's some other type of support you'd like in here, maybe you want something that behaves more like the character controller, where you change animations through the keyboard interactions as if it was a playable, let me know. We could do something like that. But I think this is really good in terms of being extremely generic. So let me know if there's something else you want. So the last question is, how do I get this thing? How do I get the updates? I've put it on a GitHub server here. I'll put the link down in the description, and I'll send it to you specifically in an email. So just pull that. It should be public. Either pull it using Git, or just come on here and you should be able to just download it as a zip. It will be up here. That will allow me to continually support this, update it, and possibly receive updates from out in the field if anybody wants to work on this. Okay, I'll see you next time out on the vlog.